Part 1. The Town That Wants to Forget. I've covered a lot of strange cases. Disappearances, murders, conspiracies that the police refuse to investigate. But this was different. Because in this town, the people weren't just scared. They were pretending nothing ever happened. I arrived in Raven Creek on a cloudy afternoon. A small town, quiet streets, old houses with sagging porches, the kind of place that looks frozen in time. No crime reports, no breaking news. But 10 people had vanished here in the last year, and no one was talking about it. The first thing I did was visit the cafe on Main Street. Locals always know more than they say. I ordered a coffee, sat at the counter, and started asking around. The waitress, an older woman with tired eyes, paused when I mentioned the missing people. She didn't look at me. She just shook her head. We don't talk about that. Her hands trembled as she poured my coffee. I pushed. All 10 of them had one thing in common, I said, lowering my voice. They all filmed the same address before they disappeared. The room went silent. The other customers stared into their drinks. The waitress's fingers tightened around the coffee pot. Finally, she muttered, "That house isn't supposed to be there." A chill ran down my spine. I leaned in. "What do you mean?" She glanced around like someone might be listening. Then she whispered, "It shows up when it wants to." I left the cafe with more questions than answers. But I had one lead. The house's address. 23 Oak Ridge Lane. There were no property records, no sales history, no official evidence that the house even existed. But the victim's phone said otherwise. Each of them had recorded the same video, the same abandoned house. At first glance, it looked lifeless. But in the final frame of every single video, something moved behind the boarded-up windows. And then, a face appeared, twisted, distorted, watching. I gripped my camera. Tomorrow I was going to find that house. And I was going to film everything. I drove to 23 Oak Ridge Lane the next morning. Or at least I tried to. The GPS kept rerouting me. Every time I got close, the road would loop back or dead end at a place that shouldn't exist. Like the town itself was trying to keep me away. But I wasn't leaving without answers. So I ditched the car and started walking. The street was dead silent. No kids playing. No cars passing. Just a row of old houses, their windows shut tight, their doors locked. And then, I saw it. The house stood at the very end of the street. Tall. Wrong. Like it had been built in a different time, a different reality. The windows were boarded up. The roof sagged. But the biggest thing I noticed, it didn't belong. The houses on either side were modern, freshly painted. This one, it looked like it had been rotting for decades. And yet, it wasn't on any map. I lifted my camera and started recording. The front door was locked. The windows, shut tight, like someone wasn't trying to keep people out, but trying to keep something inside. And I felt it, that strange, prickling sensation, like someone was watching me. I turned around. The street was empty, but the air felt thick. I wiped my sweaty hands on my jeans and checked my camera. Everything looked normal. I sighed, shaking my head. Maybe this was all just... Wait. I hit pause, rewound the footage. My stomach dropped. In the recording, the front door was open. Just a crack, even though it had been locked. And in the doorway, a shadow, standing motionless. I looked up from the screen. The door was closed. But my gut was screaming. It had been watching me. I backed away. Suddenly, this didn't feel like a good idea anymore. But as I turned to leave, my phone buzzed. A new notification. New video uploaded. My heart pounded as I tapped the screen. It was a new file. A video. Filmed from outside my house. Last night, someone had been watching me. I ran. I didn't care about my camera. I didn't care about the house. I just ran. Because I had a sinking feeling. This wasn't just about what happened to the others. Now, it was about me. I locked my door the moment I got home. Double-checked the windows. Made sure every light was on. Then I sat on my couch, staring at my phone. The new video was still waiting. A file I didn't record, filmed from outside my house. I swallowed hard, my fingers hovering over the screen. And then, I pressed play. The footage was grainy. Whoever filmed it was standing across the street. My apartment window glowed in the darkness. And I was inside, sitting on my couch, scrolling my phone, just like I was now. The camera zoomed in, slow, unnatural. Whoever was holding the phone was breathing heavily. Then, the screen glitched. For a split second, something flickered at the edge of the frame. A figure, standing in the shadows behind me. But I was alone, wasn't I? I jumped off the couch, spinning around. Nothing. The room was empty, but my gut was screaming. I knew what was coming next. I turned back to the video, and as I expected, the footage had changed. The camera was no longer outside. It was inside, filming me from the hallway. The breathing was louder now. And then, I saw the closet door. It was slightly open, and in the darkness, something moved. My closet creaked. A real sound. Not from my phone, not from the video, but from inside my apartment. Right now, I turned, my body stiff with terror. The door was open an inch wider, and the air felt wrong. Heavy, like I wasn't alone anymore. I grabbed my keys. Didn't care about my phone. Didn't care about anything else. I needed to get out. Now, I was halfway to the door when my phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look. I really didn't want to look. But my hand moved on its own. A new notification. New video uploaded. I forced myself to check. And this time, it was a live stream, a video of me, standing in my own hallway, watching my phone. The camera panned up, and in the reflection of the TV behind me, something was standing right behind me, smiling. I didn't think. I ran, out of my apartment, down the stairs, into my car. I didn't care where I was going. I just knew I had to get the hell away. The phone was still in my hand, still streaming. I forced myself to look, and what I saw made my blood run cold. The video was still live, but it wasn't filming my apartment anymore. It was filming the house. 23, Oak Ridge Lane. The front door was wide open. A single light glowed from inside. And then, something moved past the doorway. A shadow, waiting, watching, like it knew I was coming. I should have kept driving. Should have thrown my phone out the window, left town, and never looked back. But I didn't, because I knew, deep down, this wouldn't stop until I faced it, until I saw what happened to the others. I gripped the wheel, and I turned toward the house. The second I stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind me. The air was thick, suffocating. The walls felt too close, too wrong. And then I saw them, all 10 missing people, sitting in a dark room. Their faces were empty, their eyes black, each of them holding a phone, recording something. I followed their screens, and that's when I saw it. A new live stream had started. My own face, standing in the doorway. I looked down at my hand. The phone was still there. I hadn't pressed record, but the camera was already rolling. Then, the screen glitched. The camera panned up, and I realized the person filming wasn't me. It was something else, standing behind me, smiling. The lights went out, and the last thing I heard, before the darkness swallowed me whole, was my own voice. Now you are one of us. Darkness swallowed everything. I couldn't see. I couldn't move, but I could hear the soft buzzing of a phone, the quiet hum of a live stream, and the slow, shallow breathing of something standing right behind me, waiting, watching. Then, a light flickered on. I wasn't in the house anymore. I was somewhere else. A room with no doors, no windows, just 4 walls and a single, glowing phone resting on the floor. Recording, streaming. I turned slowly and saw the others, all 10 missing people, sitting against the walls, still, motionless. Their eyes were black. Their faces were blank. But their hands, all of them were holding phones, recording me. I stepped back, my breath ragged. No, this wasn't real. I grabbed the phone on the floor. The screen was glitching. A new live stream had started. I forced myself to look, and my stomach dropped. It wasn't filming the room. It wasn't filming the others. It was filming me, from behind. And in the corner of the screen, something was standing there, grinning. The whisper came from inside my own head. You don't need to run anymore. My hands weren't mine. My breath wasn't mine. And when I lifted my phone to look at the front camera, the reflection wasn't me. The screen glitched violently. A final message appeared. You are no longer missing. You are now part of the story. The next day, the town was quiet. No one spoke of the disappearances. No one mentioned 23 Oak Ridge Lane. But somewhere, a new video started spreading online. A live stream. The footage was grainy. A person standing motionless in a dark room. Eyes black. Mouth frozen in a silent grin. Just watching. Waiting. And anyone who watched too long would see their own face appear in the next stream.